Hello and welcome to the online course on research methodology. Today's topic is principles of designing effective questionnaire. Now, it generally happens that a research scholar who starts doing research in a particular topic and he or she has to collect the primary data, he or she has to prepare a questionnaire. Generally, it happens that the questions selected in the questionnaire do not match up with the objectives, or it happens that after collecting the data, the researcher finds that the questions that were asked in the questionnaire are no relevant to the objective of the research, or some of the data are missing in the questionnaire. So here in this video we are going to discuss some important points that should be kept in mind while preparing an effective questionnaire so that the data collection becomes very much effective and the whole data which is collected with the help of questionnaire becomes very much useful in conducting or executing the research work. So as per the objective of the research, the questionnaire should be prepared, but uh, the data which is required in order to achieve the objectives, that questions should be set accordingly. But here are some important points they should be kept in mind while preparing the questionnaire. So let us start with principles of designing effective questionnaire. So here we are going to discuss some important principles that will be helpful to you while you start preparing the questionnaire. So first of all, let us understand what is the importance of a good questionnaire, why effective questionnaire is required in primary data collection, or when you are starting a research work which includes the primary data collection, questionnaire is necessary. So what is the importance of designing a good questionnaire? So the questionnaire is an important part of the data collection methodology. It is a medium through which responses are collected and recorded to facilitate the data analysis. So while you want to apply the data analysis, in order to collect the data from the respondents, you need to prepare an effective questionnaire. The primary purpose of questionnaire is to extract the data from the respondents. Why do we prepare questionnaire? Because we want to get data from the respondents. We cannot directly ask the questions, or we cannot directly record the responses of the respondents. But if we have prepared an effective or structured questionnaire, it will be helpful for us to collect the data from the respondents. Besides, the validity of research heavily depends on a good questionnaire. So the questionnaire that a researcher has prepared, this will give you certain data. Whether that data is valid for your research objective or not, it depends heavily on the type of questionnaire you have designed or the kind of questions you have implemented in your questionnaire. The researcher are disappointed when their questionnaire or survey generates low responses. Sometimes it happens that you send the questionnaire to the respondents online or offline, whatever be the mode of collecting the data, but sometimes the response rate is very low, and in this case, the researcher becomes disappointed. Now, in order to come out of this problem, if the researcher thinks of preparing the questionnaire as per the principles described here in this video, this kind of problem will be solved out. So therefore, it is very important to have a well designed and well structured questionnaire in order to enhance the response rate. So if the questionnaire is designed or it is well prepared, the respondents will also feel like giving responses, and the low response problem of low responses can be eliminated by the researcher. So let us start discussing the points that you have to ponder for designing an effective questionnaire. That means here are certain principles that you need to consider while designing a questionnaire. So let us discuss them one by one. The first point is putting the questions into a meaningful order. The questions should be in a meaningful order. That means the sequence of the question should be effectively designed. Some points are also there that you need to consider. First one, the opening questions. While preparing the opening questions, you should consider that opening questions must be easy to answer and must not be threatening to the respondents. The initial questions or opening questions should be very much easy. The respondent must feel free, he must feel relaxed while responding to the initial questions. The first question is very crucial because it is the first exposure of the respondent to the survey. The first question that you put in your questionnaire must open up your the whole questionnaire, and in the very first question the person should be able to understand that what kind of research work is going on, and what are the answers that he or she is supposed to give in the further questions. So opening question or first question is very much crucial. If the respondent finds this question difficult or embarrassing, they will leave the whole questionnaire. So this must be kept in mind. If the respondent finds it difficult to answer the first question, he or she will leave the whole questionnaire. So first question should be very much catchy, or it should take the attention of the respondent, and he or she should find it very much easy to answer the first question. Now, in the same section, we need to understand the flow of the question. The question flow, it should be in a logical flow. That means a psychological order should be considered, and as per that psychological order, the researcher should put the questions in the questionnaire. Questions on one subject or a particular aspect should be grouped together. For example, you are asking about the interest of college students in the reading. So the questions related to the interest should be put in one group, and the attitude towards the reading should be put in another group. The perception of the students, that should be put in another group. So that means uh, questions related to a particular group should be in a logical sequence, so that the respondents might feel that we are answering about the attitude, or we are answering about the perception, or we are answering about the interest rate, whatever be the subject. To keep shifting from one topic to another leaves the respondent disconcerting. So, if keep on switching from one topic to another topic, one question is based on the interest, and immediately another question is based on the perception, and immediately third question is based on the attitude. That means if you move from one topic to another topic, the respondent will feel that the questionnaire is not properly designed, and the respondent will leave the questionnaire. Another thing that should be considered in this area is question variety. The respondent becomes bored quickly when monotonous questions are asked constantly. If you keep on asking the same kind of question or same variety of questions, the respondent will feel bored. Now, in order to overcome this issue, you need to put a variety of questions that can make your survey interesting. Now, a blend of pre-coded questions and closed-ended questions and open-ended questions, this kind of variety should be included in your questionnaire. All the questions must not be same kind of questions. That means all the questions are pre-coded, or all the questions are closed-ended, or all the questions are dichotomous. Such things should not be happen. You must use multiple choice questions, and then scaling, and then pre-coding, and then closed-ended questions, and then multiple selection questions. This kind of variety should be included in your questionnaire. Then another thing that you need to consider in designing a questionnaire is keep the questionnaire short and simple. So most of the time it happens that the respondents will get bored while answering a long survey questions. If the questionnaire is short and simple, it will be better to generate higher response rate. If you have asked 15 to 20 questions, it will be okay for the respondent to answer them. But you have included 50 or 60 questions in a single questionnaire, the respondent will get bored and they will leave away the whole questionnaire. So the researcher should avoid using long questions which end up confusing the respondents. The questions, the length of the questionnaire is also important. Besides, the length of the questions is also important. Short questions which can be easily understood, they should be included in the questionnaire. A short question survey that is around that takes around 15 to 20 minutes can be more insightful than an hour long discussion. So if the respondent has to sit on the computer, or he or she has to sit on the survey, passing hour long survey, so the respondent will get bored and they will not respond the whole questionnaire. So 15 to 20 minutes is an ideal time. The questionnaire must be completed within this time. Next point is avoid long questions. Sometimes it happens that the researcher puts longer questions in the questionnaire. See, long questions create confusions in respondents' mind. Keep the questions as short as possible. For example, if we ask this kind of question, see, India and Pakistan have played several matches, and in several tournaments, the teams have played final matches also. Who do you think will win the upcoming final match between India and Pakistan? So this kind of long description of question is a vestige of time. But what do you actually want to ask? You want to ask the probability of winning the match. So you should directly go to the question: who do you think will win the upcoming final match between India and Pakistan? So this kind of question should be direct question, and long description should be avoided. Another thing is, be neutral in questioning. You should not be putting the emotions in the questions, or you should not be taking the part of one side, and you should not be making the partiality with the other side while asking the question. Let us understand by one example. See, the researcher must be neutral in asking the questions. The questions that include preconceived notions or opinions must be avoided. You must not, as a researcher, you must not include your opinion. You must not include your conceptions. You must not include your notions in asking the questions. Let us take one example. See, this is a wrong method of asking. India has always beaten Pakistan in all the final matches. Who do you think will win the upcoming final match between India and Pakistan? Now, this kind of question, it opens up with a positive feeling towards India and a negative feeling towards Pakistan. So the researcher is now partial in asking this question. So because of this partiality of the researcher, the respondent will also be partial while answering this kind of question. Rather, asking this kind of questions, the researcher should put the direct question: who do you think will win the upcoming final match between India and Pakistan? So this should be properly asked. Another thing that you need to consider is avoid double barreled questions. Now, what do you mean by double barreled questions? one question includes two or more kind of responses. For example, the questions which include more than one topic but allows to answer only one is called double barreled questions. The question includes two or more topics, but the respondent is allowed to answer only one thing. Such questions create confusion and leaves inaccurate responses in the respondent's mind. For example, how satisfied are you with the performance of our fridge and TV? So, if the questionnaire includes this kind of question, the person has to answer either satisfied or dissatisfied. But if a person is satisfied with the fridge but not satisfied with the TV, how should he answer? There will be a confusion. So, in order to avoid such kind of confusion, this kind of questions should be avoided. Rather, the researcher should ask, "How satisfied are you with our with the performance of our fridge?" There should be one question, and another question: "How satisfied are you with the performance of our TV?" So the respondent is clear now. He has to answer about a fridge, and then he has to answer about the performance of TV. So there will not be confusion in the respondent's mind. He or she can easily answer these questions. So double barreled questions should be avoided. And then don't assume that the respondent is an expert. The respondent is a common man, he is a layman, and your language of asking the question should be such simple that a common man, a layman, can also understand. So the researcher should not use jargons in questionnaire. Jargons means the words which are used for a particular sector or particular field. Certain terminologies that are related to the medical field only, certain terminologies that are related to engineering field only. Such kind of terminology should be used only if you are conducting survey of the medical professionals or you are conducting the survey of the engineers. But such words should not be included if you are conducting a survey of a common man, because a common man may not be knowing the words which are useful for the engineers or the words which are useful for the doctors. So the researcher should use questions that can be answered by no experienced respondents also. Industry specific words, as I said, industry specific, that means the words that are specific to the medical field, the words that are specific to the engineering field, the words that are specific to the banking field, these may be used only if the researcher is conducting survey of that particular industry only and no layman is included in that survey. So only then you can use that kind of questions. Otherwise, if you are conducting survey of a layman, you should use the words which are common to all, the words which are very well known to all. And then avoid double negatives. Now what is this? See, using double negative words in a sentence turns it to positive. This makes respondent confused about how to respond. For example, scale your response from 1 to 5 from the following statements. Now, this kind of instruction may be given to the respondent, and below it, see, I hardly do not go to the shopping mall in the festive seasons. Now, here you can see the word hardly also shows that he or she, the respondent, very less go to the shopping mall. And the word do not, again, this is also a negative word. So these are double negative words. Such kind of double negative should be avoided. Rather, the question should be, I hardly go to the shopping mall in the festive season, or it should be, I do not go to the shopping mall in the festive season. Such a manner should be there. Or the question like this: I do not seldom purchase food items from the shopping mall. So here do not is also a negative, seldom is also a negative word. So the question should be like, I seldom purchase food items from the shopping mall, or it should be like, I do not purchase food items from the shopping mall. So such double negative words should be avoided from the questionnaire. And the next thing that you need to consider is, keep the respondent's capability in mind. We are asking to the common man. So, what is the capability of the common man? Accordingly, we need to design the questionnaire. So, researchers should keep the capability of the respondents in the mind. People get discouraged when they are asked tough questions. For example, this is a wrong manner of asking questions. What did you take in the dinner in the last week? And so last weekend, what did you take in the dinner? Nobody would be remembering this kind of answer. Rather, you should ask this: from the following list of food items, what do you generally take in the dinner in the weekends? So you should give a list of food items, and in that you should include various kind of food items, so that the respondent may tick mark certain food items that he or she generally takes up in the dinner in the weekends. So this will be very much easy for the respondent to answer. Avoid using multiple types of scaling. Sometimes the researcher may use scaling in the questionnaire. So multiple scaling should be avoided. The scale used in the question must be kept consistent. If the respondents are shown 3 point scaling in one question, and then 5 point scaling in another question, and then 7 point scaling in another question, the respondent will get confused. If you are using 3 point scaling, all the questions must include 3 point scaling only. If you are using 5 point scaling, all the questions should be based on 5 point scaling only. So multiple type of scaling should be avoided. And then avoid leading questions. So, sometimes it happens that the researcher gives a lead uh, to the respondent to answer the question. Such leading questions should be avoided. Let us see. The researcher should not use leading questions. The leading questions manipulate the responses of the respondent. For example, if a question is like this: most of the people like our water park. Do you like our water park? So here the researcher has given a lead that most of the people like it. Do you like it? So here we are trying to get positive response by any way from the respondent. Such question should not be there. Rather, the question should be like, do you like our water park? So you should not lead the respondent to the answer. And then be wise in asking sensitive questions. Certain questions related to the religion, or related to the caste, or related to the gender, this kind of questions are sensitive questions. We need to be very wise in asking such kind of questions. The researcher should ask sensitive questions wisely. For example, asking the questions related to the age to the woman, or asking monthly income of man is a sensitive manner. So people generally do not want to disclose the exact number in these cases. Here, what is the correct method? In such a situation, the researcher should give range below the questions, so that the respondent can select the appropriate range rather than giving the exact number. So if you are asking about the age, you should give a range that the person is between 18 to 25 years, or 26 years to 30 years. Such kind of range should be prepared. Or while if you are asking about the income of the person, you should be giving the range of monthly income, that is 25,000 to 50,000, and 50,001 to 75,000. Such kind of ranges should be given so that the person can select a particular range in which he or she falls. And then another thing that you need to keep in mind is use open-ended questions wisely. Open-ended questions are those kind of questions in the answer to which can be anything. The respondent can answer anything. He or she can write any sentence, or he or she can write any word. Such kind of questions generally do not give you the exact idea, or they are not useful very much in making the analysis of the data. So open-ended questions leave a room for the respondent to respond on his own. No two responses will be alike. Everyone will think in a different manner, so everyone will answer differently. In most of the cases, such responses are not very useful for analysis purpose. So open-ended questions, they are not very much useful for analysis purpose. So the researcher should use open-ended questions wisely. As much as possible, the researcher must avoid such kind of open-ended questions. And then the responses should not overlap. Overlapping questions or overlapping responses should not be there. Let us see, the responses given from the for the questions must not overlap. Such overlapping creates confusion for the respondents. Let us take one example. See, this is a wrong question. How old are you? Now below this, such kind of responses are given: 18 years to 25 years. Again, option B is 25 years to 30 years, and option C is 30 years to 35 years. Now a person who belongs to the age group of 25 years, whether he should select option A or he should select option B, because both of them include 25 years. So this is overlapping. Rather, it should be like this. And the question is, how old are you? And then you should give this kind of ranges. That means 18 years to 25 years. Another option B is 26 years to 30 years, and option C is 31 year to 35 year. So it makes very much clear for the respondent that which particular age group should he or she select. And then another thing is ambiguity should be avoided. Using ambiguous word keeps the respondent very much confused. So you should avoid ambiguous words. See, ambiguous words such as often, usually, mostly, rarely should be avoided because they do not create clear sense in the respondent's mind. See, if I ask a question like, I often go to the shopping mall. Now, often means what? Often means how many times? So, this is a confusing thing. For example, how many times a week do you go for shopping? Now you have given options like often, frequently, mostly, and rarely. Now, what do we mean by often and what do we mean by frequently? This can be different from person to person. So, such kind of uh, responses should be avoided. Rather, you should ask this question: how many times a week do you go for shopping? Now responses should be like this: 1 to 2 times, 3 to 5 times, or more than 5 times. So here it clearly makes an understanding from the respondent side that he has to select option A or option B or option C. And then avoid hypothetical questions. You should not be assuming anything. Hypothesis, that is assumption. See, it is very difficult to answer the questions based on hypothetical or imaginary situations. The questions may be answered, but they cannot be necessarily trusted. For example, if such kind of question is asked, how often would you shop if the shopping mall is opened at the corner of your street? Now, this is an imagination. If the shopping mall is open at the street, how often would you go? A person might be randomly answering anything. If the shopping mall is opened, we will go or we will not go, whatever be their mental state, accordingly they will answer. But such kind of questions, these are the imaginations. If this shopping mall is opened, what would you do? Such questions should not be answered, should not be included in the questionnaire. And another thing is, don't use words which can be misheard while uh, designing a questionnaire which has to be implemented for one to one, face to face communication. Such problems of mishearing can happen. The words can be misheard, should be used wisely. This is especially important when the survey is administered on face to face or on a telephone. When you are asking the questions on the phone or you are asking the questions face to face, such mistakes may happen. For example, 70 and 17 can sound similar. So you need to put proper remark while using this kind of responses. And then allow options others in the pre-coded questions. The option other should also be included, so that the person who does not fall in any of the category, he may select the last category, that is other. So when pre-coded questions are used, option others should be given. It may happen that the respondent may not fall in any category coded by the researcher. Others option allows the researcher to describe his category. The respondent allows the respondent to describe his category, and he can select that category or describe that own category. And another thing that you need to consider is avoid uncommon words. Uncommon words that are not known to the common man, they should be avoided. So the researcher should use the words in only common parlance. That means the words that are commonly used should be included. The researcher should avoid using slangs or uncommon words. Slangs means the words that are used in a particular culture only. The people from another culture may not be knowing, or the people from another religion may not be knowing about those kind of words. So the keep questions as simple as possible so that everyone can understand them. And then next, avoid threatening questions. Threatening questions should not be included. See, sometimes questions look like threatening. Threatening here is a dramatic word, but in the research parlance, it means almost anything that makes the respondent hesitant of answering. Here, threatening does not mean that the person is threatened, but the question feels that question is feeling like the respondent may feel hesitant of answering such question. People generally hesitate in responding about their income, their social status, or religious status. So such kind of questions related to this kind of items should be put very wisely. So researchers should avoid such threatening questions or should make them very soft. And another thing that you need to consider is ask only relevant questions. The topic on which you are surveying or the subject you have selected, the questions should be related to that particular topic, that particular subject. The researcher should include only relevant questions in the questionnaire. If the researcher wants to study about the economic status of a class of people, there is no use of asking about their religion or social status. If you are asking about economic status, the questions should be related to the economic status of the people. Uh, there should not be questions related to their social class or related to the religion. Such kind of questions should be avoided. So these are 20 principles or 20 guidelines that the researcher need to consider while drafting a questionnaire. If these things are kept in mind, your questionnaire will be no doubt an effective questionnaire, and it will be very much useful to elicit appropriate responses that can be used in eliciting the appropriate data for the analysis. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye.